I hope so, but I hope we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to let Scott and the team handle that, and obviously it's free agency, and I've never experienced that before, and I'll let him and all the teams handle that.
That's Astros third baseman Alex Bregman after what might be his last game ever for the Houston Astros. That sucks to say. When asked about whether or not he wants to come back to the Astros, he said he wants to come back, but ultimately it isn't up to him. It's up to how aggressive the Astros want to be. I don't know that bringing Bregman back means you're winning a World Series again, but I do know that Bregman being gone, Joe, is a sign that this run is done to me. It's because not his bat or his defense as much as it's because he's got one of the best minds in baseball. There's that story this year about how he helped Hunter Brown with the two-seam fastball. Having a guy like that in the clubhouse is huge. He's well-liked. He's been there a while. He's proven he's a leader. Who fills that void? Who fills the void at third base? There's so many things that his absence would create. And the Astros are in a spot where I really don't think they have a choice but to bring him back, but I don't know that they will. And I'll say it again. If they don't, I think this run's over.
I think he has to be back. I don't see how you move forward without him. Like Bryce Matthews seems like a nice young player, but it's such a void that it fills on your team again. And I know it's worked for them. It keeps working for them, but maybe not. Like Jeremy Pena replaced Carlos Correa. That seemed cool at one point. I'm not totally sure anymore. You know, you have two issues in left field and center field. You have an issue at first base. You're going to open up another issue at third base. Like, it's just like they keep opening up these issues. You got Kyle Tucker around the corner. It's like at some point, like you got to replace guys or keep guys. And so I don't think Alex Bregman's contract is going to be absurd. It is going to be affordable for the Astros. If they choose not to pay it, it's because Jim Crane is saying, I'm not willing to spend more money. I do not think he's going to get more than what Matt Chapman got, which was like, 6 years, $150 million or whatever it was. That's obtainable for the Astros. They can beat that contract, which that is a Scott Boras client, and that is a third baseman who is pretty much on par with Alex Bregman. So he should be an Astro. There's really the only thought in the back of my mind, Paul, where it's like, I'm okay if Alex Bregman's not an Astro, as if they then traded for Carlos Correa and put him at third base.
But you got the injury issue.
I know.
You're going to have to give up a lot to get him.
Yeah, that's why it's like, you got to keep Alex. You got to keep him.
Chad has a thought, 713-780-3776 on Alex Bregman's future with the Astros. Chad, what's up?
Yeah, guys, like it's just kind of extending what you're saying. I'll take it a second farther. If they're not going to re-sign him, and it's going to be complicated, there's going to be a lot of money involved, but it's almost, I would take it a step farther and just say, hey, the rebuild is here at that point, and I would look to move Fromber, and I'd look to move Tucker next year, and get prospects back and just rip the Band-Aid off and tear it down and get going, because I think that if you try and either they're all in or you're not. And I think there are a lot of holes in this team right now. And you've got to eventually accept the reality that there's going to be a rebuild at some point. And if Bregman is out, I don't see them paying Tucker. I don't know what you do with Fromber at that point. And I would look to trade those guys mid-season and reach the benefit and get some prospects back, free up cap space, and just accelerate everything so we're not stuck in this mediocrity of what could be coming here. Because so I think there's a lot riding on Bregman and what they do here, really for the whole organization. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
Appreciate the phone call, Chad. I do like the expectations that we have. Settling for mediocrity. I mean, they did just get their 7th AL West in 8 years. It's the first time in 8 years that they will not be in the ALCS. So just keep that in the back of your mind. it's too early to rip the Band-Aid off. It's too early, and I think a lot of people who are talking about ripping the Band-Aid off, you would do it in the moment, but you would regret it months from now.
Yeah.
Months. We're talking like as soon as it's May and you've ripped the Band-Aid off and you've moved on from these pieces, and he said maybe wait till the trade deadline. Okay, I guess you could do that if you want. But I'm telling you, you go back to the Stone Age, you will not care. You will not watch them because bad baseball sucks and it's not worth your time. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, I can't get behind tearing it down all the way in 25. I think in 25, you still, now, like I said, you can trade a Presley, like you can try to make some moves around the edges. You don't have to keep everybody into and go into next year. And like you're saying, how much more can they actually add to this payroll? I don't know if you can do that, but you can move some furniture around, so to speak.
Yeah,
I do think that people are a little people press the rebuild button a little bit too quickly, and it's because it worked for the Astros. But you can say you can say without any question that the rebuild undertaken by Jeff Luhnow when he got here and the success afterwards is by far the most successful rebuild in sports history that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to rebuild. They need to retool. Like you need
It's
to.
the same word though, isn't it?
It's not, because if Alex Bregman walks, that's $30 million that walks out the door. That means to me, you should sign 2 players that make $15 million.
Are they going to be as impactful combined as Alex Bregman?
That's what you would hope for. I mean, that's the job of Dana Brown, is that you have to find guys that, whether it's, you look at a guy like Willie Adames as a shortstop, or you want to go after a Goldschmidt or Pete Alonso, something like that. Like you if you're going to let guys walk, you have to pay guys to replace them at some point. Like you can retool it, but I don't want them to ever just like tear it down.
Yeah, again, like the teardown was worth it for the Astros, but it's because, like Paul laid out, like 7 division championships in 8 years. Like no other, again, think about like throughout sports, how many teams do the teardown and rebuild? None of them are as successful as the Houston Astros.
It usually doesn't work.
It never works.
Right.
And it never works out the way it did.
And things have changed since that.
Yeah, it's harder now.
They've made it more difficult for you to be able to do things like that. Couple more comments. 713 texts in. Breggs is done here. He doesn't want to be here. Stop. He does want to be here. The trash cans destroyed him. He never came back from that. I don't know what you're talking about on that front. Maybe a change of pace will bring him back. The run is over either way. Rebuild now. My God, that is very defeatist today. They did win the AL West. Does anyone in the AL West look like they're about to take that from you? That does give you the opportunity once you get in. You just hope that you have better luck with health along the way. And I feel like, we talk about people that need to be on edge, waiting for perhaps an unfortunate phone call or call into the boss's office. The Astros training and or medical staff, whatever the hell it is, whatever the hell they do, they are in the hottest of hot water.
Yeah.
The hottest of hot water. You are paying a lot of guys a lot of money and they're not playing. And I mean, I get it. It's unfair to maybe lay it at their feet, but come on, there's so many issues that they've dealt with from an injury perspective.
Yeah, I don't know how you continue just fundamentally with the same staff.
Yeah, they got to be gone. I'm calling for it now. They got to be gone. I get it. I don't know what goes into it, but if I'm looking at any fall guy, I'm not even really looking at any. Alex Cintron, I think, was a good just person to bring up as somebody who you focus on, because the Astros got away from their hitting approach this year. They even said that they admitted it as much after yesterday's game and in today's press conferences. But the training staff, the medical staff, effing disaster this year. Disaster. Gone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and to the caller's point too about the trade deadline, and King of Twitch and I were talking about this a little bit earlier on the Twitch chat. It's a nice theory, okay, of like trade them at the deadline. Because you play in the AL West, and when you're in first place in the AL West at the trade deadline, you're not going to trade Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez. It's now or never. If you were going to do it, I really honestly think it's now or never. I do not think the Astros will be in a position to where they will be at the trade deadline and saying, we're 10 games out of first place. Our season's over. We're trading these 2 guys. If they were going to do it, they have to do it now. Like, that's why I think it's an off-season conversation. It's not a regular season conversation. because they're going to win the AL West next year. Like, they might not win the World Series next year, but they're going to win the AL West next year, with or without Alex Bregman, I think.